Nothing clever to say this time. Just a huge shout out to our boy, Chan. Sorry, I could hear an echo in the background. Why, John? Why'd you do that to me?
What? What the hell?
Oh, don't even worry about it. We'll explain after this, Chris. Here's the sting.
Look at chat. What kind of show is this?
Oh man, that was amazing, Frank. Chris, I gotta fill you in here. Usually I do an introduction to everything, but what we have at the opening of the show is just a picture, and usually it's of a player or something funny that happened in esports in the last week, and so this one was Kane. Just one shout graft, and we had him on the show before, and he was making a funny face. So what happens is I play music for a bit, and then I mute the music, and then Frank says something, just like a one-liner, like, "Oh, Zerg is super OP," or just something, a funny one-liner. And he went to say something about Kane, but he said Chan instead, because he had your name on his mind, and then completely messed it up. Usually, I give Frank shit every week about how his one-liners are terrible, and that's kind of the ongoing joke. And this is the first time that he really messed that up, so I'm pretty happy about that.
That was a Nick level mess up there.
Very cool, very cool. I'm glad to be a distraction for you, Frank.
Wow, that was the most epic fail at the beginning of the show, though, that I think we've had in a long time. So,
usually I'll just have my mic muted and I'm trying to talk.
Yeah, minor things like that. Why don't we introduce this train wreck?
We can do that. Welcome everybody to Esports Canada TV episode number 37. We are now a middle-aged adult. Our guest tonight, you may know him from such shows as Climbing the Ladder, Wednesday Night Sprites, Unfiltered, and Pro Corner. He is Mr. Chris Chan, ChanManV. How are you doing this evening?
Doing great, man. I'm glad to actually get to be on another show that I don't have to do anything for, and I can actually participate in the discussion 100%. So,
is this the first time you've been on another show other than one that you've produced?
I've been on like a couple other really lesser known shows, but they've only been for like 15 minutes or like 20 minutes or something. So this will definitely be more on along the lines of a normal 1 hour show. So
you've just broken 2 records then. You're going to be on a lesser known show for a longer amount of time. So
exactly. No, but thanks for asking me to be on, man. I'm happy to have whatever discussions we're having today. It looks like I'm actually seeing the topic list here on the overlay.
The rundown.
Yes, than I am, dude. I don't even have the topic list on my overlay.
You have it all in your head, man. We suck, so we have to type it down.
I follow what State of the Game did probably like 4 or 5 months ago, and I'll be like, I remember they did this, and that was good, and then I copy that. So
hey, man,
one day
copying
we'll
is never a bad thing to do, man.
No. So I've been working with you a bit, Chris, here in the past, and then I thought it would be good to have you on the show because we're always looking for interesting guests, and I know that you had a ton of shows to yourself, but I'm guessing you don't get to talk about yourself very much on those shows. And then it just so happened to line up that today is Memorial Day in the United States, so I thought what better day to have an American guest on, because usually we like to have Canadian guests and feature fellow Canadian esports people. So it's been Clutch and John Clark, and there was one, the guy from Fantasy Esports, I can't remember his name now off the top of my head, and you were the 4th American we've ever had on the show, so congratulations.
Yeah, how long did it take you to do the Memorial Day American connection thing?
I literally looked up American flag, and that was like the 10th picture on Google, so... a lot of the details being covered up right now. There's some sweet stuff in the background.
50 pieces of chicken. $10.
That's the only thing I added in was the 50-piece chicken nuggets.
Oh, are you sure that's not part of it? That looks like
that looks perfectly in place.
That's a running joke we have about
McDonald's? I mean, I know McDonald's is running that special for a while. It's gotta be, right? It's gotta be McNuggets, right? So okay.
We were just talking one day with one of our American guests about how American food is so ridiculous that you can just get so much for so cheap. We were talking about you can get 50 chicken nuggets for like 10 cents, and I happened to find the 50-piece chicken nuggets deal picture.
And that's why we are all obese here in America.
Nice.
Alrighty.
Cool. So we're going to jump right into this whole mess of things. First things first, Chris, why don't you tell us where you're from, where you live now, and how you got involved with this crazy mistress named esports.
Yeah, sure. I am currently living in West Palm Beach, Florida, and how did I get into esports? Yeah, I think it started obviously started with StarCraft 2. I didn't really get into esports until StarCraft 2 beta got started, and God, I'm trying to remember now. And then I didn't really get, I was playing with my friends, playing StarCraft 2 a lot with my friends, and then I didn't really get into it until one of my friends kind of introduced me to the GoToCoaching.com site. And, just the whole concept of getting coaching from a player, I remember he first told me, I just started laughing at it. I was like, "You're going to get coached for a video game? Oh my God, you're such a loser." But then I thought about it, and I was like, man, you know what? I freaking get golf lessons and pay like twice as much, and I play golf like 3 times a year, and I play stuff like every night, and then all of a sudden it just started making sense to me, and then so started getting some coaching from like In Control Machine, and then during that time was I kind of exposed to MLG, so I started watching the MLGs, and my first MLG I watched, I was just completely hooked, and I can't remember who it was. I mean, I can't remember who won. I think Idra might have won that in MLG, and it was from that point on, I was just pretty much hooked on esports, and for the most part at that time, I was just purely a spectator and a fan. Didn't have any thoughts of doing anything myself, like shows or anything like that.
Yeah. Now, a lot of our guests, when we ask, they say, oh, I was super into the Brood War scene. Maybe they didn't watch, but they played a lot. Or CS 1.6 is always super popular. People say that's kind of where they got their start in terms of not competitive play, but like online play and multiplayer and meeting all these different people. Did you have a start like that, or was it kind of StarCraft was the first?
No.
Game?
I mean, from a standpoint of esports, no. Like StarCraft was legitimately the first one. I mean, I knew a little bit about Quake and the Fatality and the Thresh days and all that. I followed it a little bit at that time, and then Brood War, I just knew of where I'd see like YouTube videos here and there of just Flash and Jaedong and Boxer in these giant arenas, right? Like it's just amazing, right, over in Korea. But for the most part, I didn't follow it much. I was really into competitive gaming back in the Warcraft 2 days. I'm kind of old, right? So, but Warcraft 2 actually, I feel like I probably could have played competitively at the time, but obviously the BattleNet hadn't been created yet, so we were running off things like Kali and IPX network, IPX emulators at the time, and doing ladders on ladder. I mean, just on the web and stuff like that. But once I got done with Warcraft 2, I was kind of burnt out. Like I played StarCraft proper for a little bit, and I was just kind of burnt out at the time from just playing so much. So I just took a break. I took like a 10-year RTS break, and then like StarCraft 2 came out. I was just like, oh, okay, let's get back on this horse. But yeah, so that's kind of my history with esports there.
Awesome. Let's see. So with this esports, you obviously host a lot of different shows. You cover a lot of wide range and themes, and I feel like we're almost kind of following your footsteps, trying to do these shows as well. But maybe you could give us some tips on how you've gained such a following for these shows that you've done, and what's in for you for the future, or something like that.
Tips as so these crazy followings. I mean, I don't know about like how I don't know if we're quite to that point yet, but
you have a pretty good following. You have multiple shows, and they all seem to get a good view.
If Nick pans his camera, he's got a ChanManV poster just behind his computer. Just to let you know.
No merchandising. We haven't gotten to merchandising yet, but tips on how to, I guess get a decent sized show. I guess. Obviously, working with a lot of different people is really important. I think that's probably the biggest, probably the best advice to give folks that are trying, trying to get just more people following your channel and just following the shows or regulars every week, right? Just because it's exposure, right? Like it's all about exposure. Everybody has different followings. Like every player that I have on my show or every personality I have on my show, they all have different groups of people that enjoy their work, right, and follow them. And obviously there's overlap, with some of it, but a lot of it isn't, right? So the more breadth that you can cover just from an exposure standpoint, then the better chance you have that you'll convert. I always need to convert because of the ad space, but you'll acquire like a follower, right? So working with a lot of different types of people, and obviously the more popular they are, the more likely you'll probably get just a larger amount of people following your shows and that sort of thing. So yeah, that, and it's kind of something that everybody always says, but consistency is probably the one thing that I've probably done very, very well. Like sure. It's not even so recently that I probably skipped a week of like climbing the ladder, and it was for other reasons. But yeah, I mean, for a while, I think for 51 weeks out of the year, I did climb the ladder every single week, and Pro Corner for a while I was doing 2 every week when it started. So consistency is very, very important because people a lot of the community members are creatures of habit, right? So they want to, every, Thursday at 4, they want to watch Climbing the Ladder, or every, 7 on Wednesdays, they want to watch Live on 3. It's that type of thing, right? That's why consistency is so important. And
Sure.
Plus, you won't get a lot of shit from the community just for not being consistent, like some other that's always nice too. That's yeah.
Brother,
Right.
watch ChanManV.
Yeah. No, that's. I mean, it's funny because that guy that makes that comment, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, at least he was, at least he kind of watches it regularly. So it's always
The one
nice to
guy
know.
who watches it called us out. So I actually want to call back to this idea where you're saying over time building up a following of a lot of people who kind of like a core audience, right? So I have a question for you. Would you say that your shows very much are shows for people who are already very much into esports, or how many people outside of this esports thing do you actually feel might come and watch a show? Like, is that even a consideration? Are you just as much trying to get people who aren't into esports understanding it, or what do you say to that?
Yes, that's a good question. So my shows, let's see, how do I answer that? I think my first inclination is to say my shows really aren't geared for converting just non-esports people to esports. I wouldn't say that they aren't capable of doing it, but the objective of the shows, when I first created them, and really the point of them, in my opinion, is either to shed light to segments of the esports that don't get much love or don't get much attention, or it's to or try to discuss issues that a lot of folks aren't discussing on other shows. So it's not so much about entertainment, I guess, is what you could say. My shows aren't like a lot of the news shows that talk about news. They have a lot of like very, very entertaining hosts and that sort of thing. My show's not so much about that. So I don't know how you define it, whether it's meant to convert non-esports people to esports or not, but that's kind of the focus of my show. So I don't know if that answers your question or not. But
well, I think a show like Wednesday Night Sprites is pretty good. I mean, even if you don't follow the competitive scene, you still get that kind of sense of, I mean, you have pro players coming on and playing games for fun, and it's a lot less intense than if you had Pro Corner, where they're talking about high level meta and going over build orders and things like that, right? So I mean, I think you cover kind of the different levels of where people are at with their involvement with esports.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Wednesday Night Sprites was meant to be, definitely much more lighthearted, fun kind of show that you can, play these arcade games with your friends every Wednesday night, right, and just have a good time. And that's what we try to do, right? We don't take ourselves seriously at all on that show. I mean, one of the things that we do in that show is we have like the viewers make these crazy fan art Photoshop pictures of all of us in some crazy situation. So so that's a good point, John. Yeah, Wednesday Night Sprites is our fun show, or my fun show, I guess, out of the lineup. Sure.
And I also want to just spotlight that point you made where you try to shed some light or put some spotlight on the segments that maybe don't get as much attention as they should. And I remember watching the episode where you had Ryan from GameHeart on there to talk about his UI and to really promote that. And then I think your very next episode was about about photographers in esports?
No, it was the Map Makers. Map Makers.
Oh, the Map Makers. That's right. And then I think when John Clark was on our show, the next episode after that was about
We had the photographer one, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's really cool to get that perspective.
Yeah. Like that.
Did I mix them? At any rate, you're always finding those people that need just as much love. So that's a really cool part of your show, and that's something that I really enjoy. But I wanted to ask, and I hope you didn't actually mention this earlier when I was frantically trying to go through some setup at the beginning of the show. But how did you get involved with? Obviously, you host with multiple people. So how do you get involved with so many different personalities? And is it just because mutual love of esports, or how does that come about?
Yeah, I mean, so my host, right, that I have on the show, just starting with, Pro Corner didn't have a host originally, so it was just me. So John with Climbing the Ladder was definitely the first host, right? And John and I are, we're really close, obviously. And I met John somewhere along the way. I think he popped on for a Pro Corner one day when I had Aurora on, I had a female gamer on. And he just thought it was really cool that I was doing some show with that. Anyways, I ended up talking to him. We ended up getting along really great. And then from then on, we were just having great esports conversations pretty often, honestly. And I wouldn't say every day or anything like that, but it was pretty often. And and then we'd be in the same Skype conversations and that kind of thing with a lot of other esports people. And what I kind of realized was just that just these conversations we have, we should just make a show out of it, because a lot of these conversations really should be public. Because I don't know, it's why are we talking about this in private and not even not even having a widespread discussion with everybody. Right. So that's kind of how Climbing the Ladder came about. And John and I just ever since have been really, really tight that way. At some point we pulled on Mark Faraz, right? And Mark, actually, it was just more of it was kind of a gut decision, whim decision for me to actually add Mark on. And I didn't even know Mark. It was kind of crazy, thinking about it now. Honestly, it's it was just complete gut. It was a complete gut move, asking Mark, because obviously Mark had a kind of a questionable reputation amongst a lot of people, but but anyways, I kind of got to know Mark, and I actually asked him to be on before I even got to know him really well. So who knows? I don't know how to say if that was a good or bad decision. But
it's always good to learn who someone is on air.
It's what? No. But anyways, it ended up being a great decision, actually, because Mark added a team facet that we never had on the show. But I met Mark again. How did I meet Mark? Actually, Mark wasn't in any of the combos I had. I think I just got his ID at one point because I thought it would be an interesting idea, just idea to have possibly a pretty a team owner as a host. And then I pulled him on, and then got to know Mark, and that was good. And then Paul came along somewhere around there, and I met Paul. I think he was a guest maybe a couple times on my show. And again, it's just during this whole time you're just networking, right? You're getting Skype IDs. You're meeting people, or people are giving you introductions, and you're just meeting more and more people in esports. And before you know it, your Skype list is hundreds of hundreds of names long, right? So the nice thing about the industry folks they're really easy to approach. Honestly, they're much easier than the actual players, even though the players are great too, honestly. But I have to admit, I was really, really shocked about just the just the quality of guests I could get just on Climbing the Ladder so early. And I had Pro Corner going for a while, but I don't know if industry folks are watching Pro Corner at all, right? So it was definitely really shocking to me, and it was really refreshing and great, and my perception of all of them, changed drastically. It's not that I had bad perception. It's just God, these guys are awesome. That more of that kind of perception. So kind of networking me and them, and then Wednesday Night Sprites, just same group of people, just kind of meeting along the way, and decided, hey guys, let's just do a show together where we're just playing games, and let's do arcade games about anything, right? And then so we did that, and then lastly, Unfiltered with Steven. He actually approached me about it, so I actually had in the back of my head that it'd be kind of cool to do something with Steven eventually. So that just kind of worked itself out on its own. So that was great. And Steven had been on my shows prior, and honestly, like a few of the shows that he was on was probably some of my best shows, like the Husky one, right? Husky and Maga one with Steven. That was a great show. So that was kind of a natural thing.
So the rule book for hosting shows and actually running a show, it's still very much being written, and nobody really knows like some sort of winning secret to it. But I want to ask you, because you said some of your guests just a gut feeling, other ones it's just like, hey, let's see how this works. So pick one of your shows, and then maybe if you could give us an idea of what's a direction that you see the show going in, given that it's very much just you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants sometimes.
You mean like currently, like today,
or even if you have a secret show that nobody knows about that you're in the works?
Store for the future.
No. So one of the so Pro Corner took a pretty drastic change recently, and I can kind of walk you through that. So Pro Corner had always been bringing on pros, whether it's like super well-known pros or lesser knowns, and having them kind of walk through strategy, right, and interacting with the audience, in the form of Q&A and that sort of thing. And that kind of concept, I think, originated with Bitter's 12 Weeks. And once Bitter kind of got the ESL job, and obviously 12 Weeks went away, and so there was a huge space there, for a while. So I kind of filled that, I think, with Pro Corner for a little bit, and for a while, I think it was kind of going as I thought it would go. Like a lot of, we had a lot of great guests, and a lot of folks enjoyed the guests, right? So every time I had a show, like the fan base would kind of come in, right, and be exposed to Pro Corner. But of late, I think all the player streams, they're doing a really great job of doing analysis and commentary and that sort of thing. So that on top of just, I think some other shows are kind of doing something similar. I felt like the space was really saturated, and the format was just less unique. So what I did recently, and we're like 2 episodes into it, is I decided to change it into more of a. It's more of a project than anything else. It's like an ongoing project, and the show is kind of a way to document the project. And it's something that I've always been passionate about. I've always, would give advice here and there to some, whether it was players or it was people working with players. And I decided that I wanted to, take on the project of trying to come up with a very efficient regimen for players. Whether it's practice or life or just everything, all-encompassing regimen. So that's kind of what I did. And because I had brought on Andre Graytorp on recently, and Andre is kind of he's kind of a cerebral person too when it comes to the game. Kind of. I mean, he'd probably like, what the hell are you talking about, Chan? So he's a cerebral person. I felt like he would be a pretty good partner in this. And then I met Robert, who's the sports psychologist on the show. Mm-hmm. Who works with some of the Team Liquid guys like TLO and Rhett, and we'd have long discussions about things, and I'd even throw out some advice for him, to maybe do with Dario. That I felt like he was a great partner in this too, because he could bring that kind of psychological aspect of this regimen. So that's what we're doing with Pro Corner now. It's like, again, every single week, it's all about discussing concepts and gradually building a framework. And building a tool set that will be available to all players, pros or casuals, whoever wants to use them. So anyways, that's kind of an example I guess maybe you were looking for.
No, I think that's definitely key to keep changing the show. I mean, Pro Corner's obviously been around for a long time, and to keep that same sort of format, obviously you're going to have people imitating it and copying it until the whole market's just kind of flooded with the same sort of gray show.
I mean, it's really important. Sorry to interrupt, John, but
no, go ahead.
One thing to definitely do, and I've always tried my best to keep to, is never be stuck doing anything that you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And even if that means that you have a show that has an established fan base because of a certain reason, but you're just tired of doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not a proponent of continuing to do exactly the same thing when you don't, you're not passionate about it. You should just stop doing it and change it in whatever fashion. And if you lose people, you lose people. But it's important to do stuff that you really feel strongly about. And all 4 of the shows I have right now, I feel strongly about everything I'm doing. which is, that's the only reason I'd be able to do it, and like kind of pump these things out as much as I do, right?
Yeah, just on the topic of passion, I'm just looking at one of the questions from the chat. Hydrolus wants to ask that, do you produce this content full time? Is this what you do the whole time, or do you do this on the side, something like that?
This thing is completely on the side. I actually work for a mobile startup company full time, and so this esports thing is completely just whatever free time I have outside of.
How are you finding that balance?
Balance is crazy.
How's your wife and kids finding the balance?
Yeah. I mean, the great thing about my wife is she's like, she's really supportive. She knows how much I care about esports. My kids, just love watching StarCraft with me, and they know when Daddy has a show, like, they don't come like banging on the door like right now, even though you might hear them screaming outside right now. But they know not to come. But one thing that I'm really, really good about is time efficiency and multitasking and balancing these things. And that's one of the reasons why Pro Corner, like, I feel there's a lot of advice that I can give to the players too, even if it's not even specific things. But balancing time is one thing that I think I do really, really well, and I have to be doing it well if I have this many shows, and it's like marketing, promotion, post-production, like providing the VODs. I mean, that all takes a lot of time, but yeah, so I have a full-time job too. Yeah.
Are your kids gamers yet?
My oldest son plays a lot of mobile and DS, like 3DS.
Yeah.
Not so much console, and he was once he dying to play StarCraft 2, but my wife won't let him play StarCraft 2. So he can only watch it, believe it or not. It's kind of a weird thing. But so
is your wife a gamer at all?
Not at all, dude.
Not at all.
She is completely not a gamer, but that's the cool thing about her, is that she's completely supportive of me, though.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah.
So that's my wife's awesome that way.
Can your wife talk to my wife and get her to be a little more supportive of me then? That would be wonderful.
Oh man.
I think I've been recently spending way too much time in esports. Like, we just had a crazy hectic week. Like, everyone in our Esports Canada network was like doing something, whether it was the Overclock.net or Flaming Cow or we were just, our fingers were in a lot of stuff, so we were super busy, and I've completely neglected my family. So I've got a little bit of passive aggressiveness coming out of my wife lately. So
yeah, you just have to make up for it. You just have to make up for it big time the next week.
Well, so then what's the secret?
That's the secret. That's the secret. It's like whenever you're skipping a weekend for whatever reason, man. The next weekend, oh man, you gotta watch the kids the entire day, or or you gotta take them to just whatever they want to do, type of thing.
I might have to.
And and honestly, a lot of times, guys, like when it comes to esports and like watching WCS and that sort of thing, like this weekend, dude, I'm constantly just watching on my phone. Like whether we're at we're at the park, and then so I'm kind of like doing both at the same time and trying to just have the WCS kind of running in the background. So the mobile Twitch is huge, man, to keeping up with
so are you signed up for Google Glass is the next question.
Oh, guys, that'd be too distracting.
Oh, man, that'd be so sad.
But maybe this is a good time to ask then, so how are you finding WCS tournament? What are your thoughts and on that so far?
So comparing them or just generally?
I know we talked about this before, and we kind of had the same agreement that it was kind of choking out the lower league sort of thing, but I guess you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, sure. So WCS, I think generally speaking, Blizzard taking involvement in all this, or taking control, really taking just a responsibility in all this, is really good. I think that in general, it's really good that they're doing this, because we need this kind of central focus, central kind of storyline, and that's really great. The part that does suck is that we're seeing the result of it, right? Which is that we don't see any other tournaments, like for instance in the U.S. or in North America, any major ones, right? Besides WCS. I mean, kind of happened that the timing just was. It happened at the same time as IPL going down, but NASL is gone, for the most part when it's come to StarCraft 2 and MLG is only doing WCS. We'll see what Anaheim is. Like nobody really knows exactly what Anaheim is going to be, and it's only like a month out now. So we'll see what that ends up being, whether it's invitational or open.
Yeah, and
I mean, right
MLG's
now,
been pretty tight-lipped on their tournaments for StarCraft. I mean, they've been listing like, here's League of Legends, here's Halo or Call
yeah,
of Duty, and here's fighting games, and we'll announce StarCraft in 2 weeks. And everyone's just kind of
yeah,
like, what? And so it's like 2 weeks before the event, and then they announce, okay, it's going to be an invitational. It's going to be these
yeah,
players.
yeah. So it's kind of complicated, and again, like particularly for the NA players, I kind of feel bad for them right now because they have even less opportunity now than they did before, which was not very much to begin with. The Europeans at least still have DreamHack. They're missing out on the IEMs too, but they have DreamHack. They have RSL. They have just a lot of opportunities, Iron Squid, and a lot of other opportunities there that we don't have so much here. I mean, honestly, like the gap between MLG and not and just nothing, just the amateur scene are a lot of y'all's turn, a lot of the Esports Canada tournaments and like the SoCal tournaments and the TESPA tournaments. I mean, that's what's filling the space for now, which is kind of crazy because as great as the tournaments are that you guys have, they're just not on the scale of
Yeah.
of those MLGs and the bigger lands that we've had in the past. So it's not great. It's not great from that standpoint, and hopefully we'll see more Shoutcraft Americas, and we'll see more grassroots play, and from Blizzard. I hope eventually they will do something grassroots, whether it's next year or what. But right now it's pretty tough. It's definitely tough for the folks that are not in that top 16 range. But overall, again, I think conceptually it is a good, WCS is good though.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens by the end of the year.
Yeah, I've been really happy with the viewer count in terms of like I tune in like randomly during the week to like WCS Europe or America, and it's pretty steady, like 50,000 people middle of the week, middle of the day. And then I mean on the weekend, WC Europe hit what 110, 120K over the weekend. So I mean it's definitely good to see. I mean if they're running this huge massive tournament and putting all this money behind it and they're getting numbers, 60, 70,000 for finals, it's not too encouraging. But I think they're doing well so far.
Yeah, I mean WCSEU. I mean, I can't I can't stop saying great words about it because it was amazing event, and I hate to kind of contrast it to MLG and WCSNA, but it's just you can see that they're spending all the time in all the fine details. Carmack and Paul and Tim and all those guys. They're doing everything that I think that all of us in the community as fans want to see. Player profiles, like in-depth interviews. Not just doing the interviews, actually having all the overlays and all the camera shots.
The same production value they have for everything else, and having that.
Yeah. I mean, production value is just amazing, and then you have all the little added things like. White Raw's there making milkshakes. MC's there, like trolling Apollo, and the Weatherman whole thing. And then you have the whole WCS Extra, 30 minutes after the thing. I mean, it's done so right. I can't put it any other way. And it would be awesome if MLG did the same. MLG's trying to get up there, but ESL's I feel like ahead of it, ahead of the curve right now. And there's a reason why we got 110, 120,000 on top of Stefano making it far too.
Yeah, that always helps. There's a foreigner in the plan, and to face MVP too. It's not like
exactly. So I mean, it's
Korean
a little bit of luck involved there too, and Damaga doing great too. I think helped, but so a little bit of luck involved. But whenever you have those lucky events happen, you need to just like nail it, right? And they completely nailed it.
It's funny because there was such an outlash when they chose ESL over DreamHack to do the production, and everyone was saying like, why did they choose ESL? Why not DreamHack? DreamHack's amazing. Look at WCS EU from last year. Look at all the DreamHacks that they run and the amazing production value. But I guess they didn't have the same sort of studio setup that ESL had available to them, and it seems like it's gone quite well for them.
I think you're right on with all those sentiments, and I even thought it was surprising that DreamHack wasn't at least a dual partner. You know what I mean? Like kind of like Kespa and Ngama, right? Not Kespa, but OSL. Oh god, Anyways, OGN. Oh, sorry, OGN. OGN in GOM. So I was actually surprised too, but Carmack and those guys are kicking ass, so there's not much to say at this point.
And I guess it is kind of good that DreamHack's not involved in some sense, because they don't have to fall under those same rules. They can kind of do
Yeah.
what they want and keep innovating and doing their own sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And they're kicking ass too. I mean, last
Yeah.
DreamHack was an amazing
Oh,
event.
so good.
And yeah, so Robert, Hellspawn, those guys, they're completely fine being independent and still working within the parameters, obviously, that Blizzard give out. But those events, I wish we had one like that in the U.S.
Yeah, when's DreamHack
They,
gonna come save North America?
exactly, exactly. He said 18 months, man. Robert said 18 months on CTL, so that we should be seeing a DreamHack over here in NA. So that
I
would
can
be.
barely wait for the weekend, Chris.
Oh
Am
man.
I supposed to wait 18 months?
I know, right.
Well, outside of DreamHack coming and saving esports in North America, or at least making it all that much bigger, over the weekend when we were helping with Overclock.net tournament, it had the winner was QXE, and he was interviewed by Rotterdam, who was doing the casting at the end. And Roddy was asking, he was saying, how do you feel about this tournament that you just won? And QXE was saying how he really appreciated the fact that the top prize was $1,000, and everyone 1 through 8 got at least some cash. And he was like, this is one of the better paying of the smaller tournaments that you can get into. So he was really thankful to the OCN network to actually do that. So you also mentioned earlier some grassroots organizations coming in. So there's this idea of maybe we need some more grassroots people helping prop up the esports community in North America. But what are some other things you think we could do, or if you wanted to elaborate on that point, that maybe could help the North American scene that much more?
So the way I look at this whole the whole grassroots and really growing the player base and skill base, it's multi-tiered because everybody just talks about the pro scene and then just like the non-pro scene, right? But in reality, there's a lot of different segments within that. So I mean, I kind of I look at it as like the pro scene, and then you have like the pros that are part-timing it, and then you have like semi-pros, and then you have like college college and the high school and that sort of thing. And I mean, there are different segments. And one segment that just to throw out there is CSL, right? The Collegiate StarCraft League. That is a great example of kind of like what we should try to get to with the other segments, because CSL is its own product. It's its own thing. Nobody's really comparing CSL to even the professional scene because it has its own space. And that's a beautiful thing because you can create a business, they're creating a business out of that too. So it could potentially, maybe be sustainable in the future with sponsors and that sort of thing. But again, the great thing about CSL is that it gives a place for all those players that are in college. They don't have to be full-time. They can actually, it's okay to go to school and play StarCraft in this league, and it's accepted. And that's what the culture is supposed to be in that space. And, that can only build and grow just really the players in that space, because once they're done, then their StarCraft ability is still pretty good, and maybe they make a decision that's kind of similar to other sports where it's like, okay, now I have an education, I can go go and try for a year and then still have my degree, that type of thing. So that's the college space. When it comes to like the pros that are trying to go full time and that sort of thing, there's no other answer, honestly, than there needs just to be more tournaments. There needs to be more ways to make prize money, that these guys can make money outside of all these other avenues that don't involve playing, like coaching and streaming. I mean, streaming, I don't even count streaming as practice, guys. So it's like streaming, coaching, another job, like those are all things that are not conducive to build, like highly or not conducive for players to really reach their skill potential. And it's okay. It's like for me, again, it's like and I always say this in Pro Corner, it's fine if the player is happy with what they're doing. If they're happy streaming every day, if they're happy coaching and making a living in that regard, that's completely fine. But it's for the players that aren't happy, with just doing that, and they want to, be, competing with the big boys and making it on team, getting paid on teams and that sort of thing. Those are the guys that really need, more of this infrastructure, which in the form of more tournaments, more of those type of opportunities, more opportunities to even show your talent.
Yeah, that's
like
exactly
even
QXE's
point.
point.
It's just you
you
just need more of that.
Do you think online tournaments are enough to suffice, or do you think there needs to be more live events where you can actually see some of these North American top guys? Because I mean,
No,
go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, I think online events are sufficient, and the main reason online events are for me are probably the most just most realistic thing is that they're easy to run. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
LAN events cost a lot of money. You guys know. I mean, they're not cheap to run, and they're take a lot of time to organize, right? So online events are much easier in that regard. And honestly, as long as the online event is promoted and marketed well, you can just get just as much attention. I mean, look at Shoutcraft, right? I mean, on TV, have TV marketing an online event, it's going to get a lot of attention. Like whoever wins the thing, right? So, look at Root Kane. It's done great for Root Kane. No matter what people say about StarCraft, a lot more people know about Root Kane than ever before, and Drunken Boy, right? Drunken Boy 2 and Neeb and State. I mean, State's obviously been around for a while, but a lot of people know about these guys more, and they're all they're Canadian too. So you guys are obviously very.
That's why I was so excited. You're mentioning all these players. Good on you, Chris.
Yeah. Dude, Henry too. Okay, like I know all those guys, dude. So.
Awesome. We knew them before they were cool.
Yeah, I like to think that
I knew they were. I knew a lot of them before they were cool too, dude. So. But yeah, so they just they need more. I think the plans are coming back soon. That will be helpful. But just more, just more of these things, and it's not easy for these people to actually come up with tournaments too that have like prize money and that sort of thing. But again, I think the exposure is more important than prize money. So if you can have an online tournament that's regular, that's promoted really well, that does just whatever you can, just whatever little bit you can to showcase the players, then eventually somebody winning like 4 play-ams, 3 or 4 play-ams, that will show up on the radar, and people will notice. And Scarlett was winning play-ams too back in the day. And like nobody really noticed until she actually won the one that paid for a trip to IPL, right? And then she actually did well there. So. Yeah, just more of that.
So what's in the water in Canada that seems to produce all these amazing players?
Oh, man, seriously, man. There's a lot of Canadians.
It doesn't make sense.
It's hockey and esports.
Hockey and esports.
Yeah, it must be. It must be.
We spend the cold months playing hockey, and then during the summer, we're inside doing esports. It's great.
Well, it's either you're playing hockey out in the cold, or you're just stuck in your house, just gaming it, right? So you're one or the other. You could be curling too, man.
That's true.
No,
it's
pretty.
curling
That is.
in Canada.
No, that's not. Our national sport is actually lacrosse, believe it or not.
Yeah. Oh wow.
I've never
Didn't
played.
know that.
You learn all the Canadian facts here on Esports Canada TV. I know you're on a bit of a time limit here because it is Memorial Day for you down there in Florida, and you do have some things to do. So we do want to get to the lightning round.
All right.
But first, I'm going to give you the chance to do any shout-outs, maybe run down the schedule of shows you have coming up this week, anything we need to know, where we can follow you on Twitter and Twitch and all that.
Yeah, so I can give you a little bit inside bit to that. That's something I'm going to do this week. So Tuesday, Unfiltered with Destiny, just a show me and Destiny do every week, or we try to do every week. Wednesday is going to be Wednesday Night Sprites. Actually, sorry, back to Unfiltered. Unfiltered's at 5 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday Night Sprites every Wednesday at 10:30 Eastern, and we play arcade. For those of you who don't know, we play all kinds of different arcade games. They're usually really simple, fun games, and it's me, Living Pink, Tempo, and EG Machine. And then Thursday we rounded off with Climbing the Ladder, and this week we're doing an episode on studio production. So we'll have Scoots and Trance and Elliot from NASL.
Oh, nice.
And I'm going to try to have Tim from ESL too on to talk about just how badass those guys are. Honestly.
We all met Elliot in Toronto for NASL, and he's
awesome, isn't he?
Quite lovable.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy, man. He helps a lot of people out too.
Yeah.
And nobody knows him. So that's like exactly why I want him on the show, because he's just look at the work he did on the Pulse. I mean, it's just amazing, right?
Oh, the Pulse is great.
Yeah.
But
and then yeah, exactly. And then something has kind of come up last minute, kind of decided to do actually today, is next Sunday, I'm going to be doing a 4v4 Star Strikers tournament.
Oh, nice.
With
love that
pros
game.
pros and personalities mixed with community folks. or just the community in general. So we'll probably do two pros and personalities kind of paired together, and then we'll pair them with two, randoms from the community, and then we'll play out. It should be at least an 8-man tournament, and I'm gonna try to kind of use it as either a kickoff to a series. I think I'm gonna call it Superstar Strikers, and I think that's what I'm gonna call it, Superstar Strikers, and then hopefully it'll be a series of events from time to time. It's either gonna be a series of events or it's gonna kick off something I'm gonna try to do just pretty weekly, just trying to get everybody that plays Star Strikers together on Sundays and play that awesome game, because a lot of people play the game, they just play separately, and
time to unite that esport community.
Exactly.
That's Star Strikers esport.
Trying to get
Star Strikers
everybody
ladder.
together, promote the arcade at the same time, and just Star Strikers because it's such a fun game. So yeah. So anyways, look forward to that on Sunday. I'm thinking right now, tentatively, the time is at 3 p.m. Eastern, and got some big names going to be playing, like Day Nine's already agreed, and JP and a lot of other pros like Huck and other guys like that. So there's going to be a good number of big name folks there. So
That's
definitely
awesome.
join in. And the way to do it is I'll come out with a TL thread either tonight or tomorrow. So you guys will see that. But just join the Star Strikers BattleNet group to maybe find out more details, and that's probably where we'll all be congregating on Sunday anyways. So hopefully I'll see
Fantastic.
you guys there too.
Yeah, Frank, are you going to play in the community side or the pro side?
Now I'm a little nervous. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I have what it
Maybe
takes
you
to be
and
on either side.
Nathanius?
I was playing games with the Star Striking community like the other night, just all the guys that play every day, right? Man, those guys are so good. It's like
Oh,
great.
man.
I mean, I was at least hanging with them. I wasn't like embarrassing myself, but they're doing tricks, fancy shit. I'm just like, oh man.
They got that synergy going.
Yeah, it's not just that. I mean, they'll do stuff like they'll kick the ball and leave it right in front of the goal, and then they'll SUV wall it into the goal, just to be fancy shit. It's like, God, man, all right, awesome. No, but anyways, yeah. So we'll be doing that on Sunday. It should be a fun, good time.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Just received
Shout outs
huge-
to you guys. Shout outs for you guys having me on the show, and I definitely see you guys on popping in on the stream chats from time to time, which I appreciate from the shows. And John, of course, doing amazing work for just the videos that I've been getting to use on the shows. And just all you folks, all you viewers out there that are watching the shows too. Big shout out to you guys.
Fantastic. Well, without further ado, guys, we are going to jump into the lightning round, and I'm going to play this video, and let's hope it works. Have 4 times, and there it is, and it worked. Fantastic.
Oh, it worked for real?
Wow.
Yes, Frank.
Nice.
It did work.
John, everything you do is like a crash.
It's like Harry.
I didn't get to
man.
use this one as well, and I really wanted to, just to show my ups. Oh, that's kind of broadcast view, but there's Pro Corner. See the little red background there I got going on, Frank? You like that?
Oh,
Nice.
that's nice.
Oh, what?
That's pole stitch, man.
Pulling out all the stops.
It's cool, man.
All right,
Wow.
this is where the fun ends, Chris. I apologize. I know that you've watched the 36 episodes that preceded this one, the one that you are on, so I won't bore you with the details. But anyone that tuned in tonight to watch Chris here on the show, let me inform you that the lightning round is this. It's 10 skill testing questions that are physically, emotionally draining, that will take you to the limit and back. They will set your soul on fire and ask for no love in return. So, Chris, I'm going to ask you once and only once. Are you ready for the lightning round?
All right, PP, 1 second. Hold on, I got like barbarians like knocking on the door real quick. So hold on a second, real quick.
Okay.
And he never came back.
That's the end of episode 37.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Oh man, having kids. Thank God my kids go to bed around this time.
Barbarians.
I can't
The
imagine.
older they get, the longer they're gonna stay up.
Yeah, esports is going to be hard.
Exactly. Did you hear that conversation, guys?
We did not.
Okay. Maybe.
Would you shut up? I'm on Esports Canada TV right now.
Okay, you ready?
Why?
3, 2.
You don't get to do the countdown, Chris.
I'm just kidding. All right.
All right. The lightning round, I will ask you again since you had to pause, please, before. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Ready for it.
Fantastic. And just so you know, the points are at my discretion. They may be positive, they may be negative. so no wine,
Okay.
please.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Question number 1. You currently live in Florida. I asked you before about a couple different facts, favorite sports teams, hobbies, things like that. But this is a Canadian show, and we usually like to involve some sort of hockey analysis into it. So question 1, name the 3 Florida NHL hockey teams.
Oh my God. All right. Oh God. Florida Panthers.
Correct.
Easy one.
Golly. I know there's one in Tampa, right?
Correct.
Whoa.
Oh God.
Sound
What is
out.
it? Tampa
Bear in mind, this is the lightning round.
Lightning. Tampa Lightning.
Tampa Bay Lightning, correct.
Tampa Bay Lightning.
Well done,
And
sir.
then there's 3 in Florida, really? Wow. God, what other city would it be? It wouldn't be Orlando.
Nope.
Jacksonville? No.
Nope.
Not Jacksonville. Not Miami.
Nope.
Did you mention
Man.
the Miami Heat was a hockey team? Worst name ever.
Yeah, I actually don't know. I actually don't know the third one.
It's the Toronto Maple Leafs.
What?
That's where they play
Oh,
golf.
my
Through,
God. I should
when
get-
when
dude,
they
I
don't
should
make
get
the
bonus.
Is that
playoffs.
where they're playing golf? Is that what you just said?
Yeah,
Hilarious.
that's where they go for golf.
Hilarious. The Anaheim Mighty
Oh.
Ducks.
That's in
Okay.
California, Frank.
Damn it. Who is it?
So
Wow.
what is it? A question? I didn't know troll questions were like. like involved.
You know nothing
don't
about
even
the
know.
lightning round. You
Oh.
don't even know. This is great.
Okay.
I will give you half points for that because you did get Florida and Tampa Bay. So 0.5 is your current score. Question number
Wait.
2.
Yeah, at least 3. I should get at least 3/4 of a point for that, right?
2/3, if anything. Question
All right.
2, you are at 0.5. Execute in the chat telling you to run away now. There is no love here. Question 2, it is Memorial Day in the United States. I'm going to get you to recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh my God. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Correct.
Oh. Do you know that, John?
I actually do. I had to learn it last year for a play I was in.
Oh, wow.
Were you a president, John?
You know what's sad is like I don't think I've recited that since I was in grade school. Seriously, last time. That's how much ingrained it is in every American.
Indoctrination.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I often struggle to do the national anthem because I only ever hear it when I'm at hockey games. And I always like get to a certain
Okay.
part and I'm like, oh, what's the next lyric? I dread having to like do it in
Exactly.
public solo. You've been involved in esports for a long time, and you're obviously quite public about it. You have several shows, and so obviously your friends and your family and your wife and kids all know about your esports passion. What are the funniest misnames your friends or your spouse have ever called something esports related? So I have a friend who called League of Legends the World of Wizards. What she referred to it as because her boyfriend kept playing League of Legends.
Best game.
He said, "Would you stop playing World of Wizards?"
Oh
what do
man.
you think of the funniest name that someone has ever called something in the esports world?
Gosh, that's a tough one. I can't think of it. Because like obviously my wife doesn't even talk about esports, right? So that precludes anything. So I'm trying to think of anybody that's said anything funny, like on my shows.
Don't your kids have had funny ways that they would refer to the games? I know my daughter
yeah, okay,
calls
that's
StarCraft
true.
and
That's
Dota
true.
boom every time she sees it. Because the first hero she saw was Zeus, and she saw him shoot lightning bolts, and she's like, boom! So she calls it that all the time.
My mom
Well,
confused
I mean,
StarCraft
I guess the only thing closest to that is they call the 3 races: the humans, the robots, and the bugs. those are the 3. Those are the 3 races, and my son walks by this thing like almost every day, and says, "Who's that, Daddy? Who's that?" And I'm always like, "Queen of Blades," and he's like, "Oh, Queen of Blades, Queen of Blades," like every day, and then, like the next day he'll walk by it again, he'll be like, "Who's that again?" It's just it's
You have to
Queen of
teach him.
Blades. Like I told you
Uh,
yesterday.
in case he ever meets Kerrigan, he needs to know how to run.
Exactly.
all right, good story. Good story. That's worth a point. You're currently at 2.5 out of a
Alright,
possible
perfect.
3 right now. Question number 4. You're starting your own league. Doesn't have to be StarCraft, but I'm guessing it will be. What do you call this league?
What do I call this league?
Superstar Strikers. He said it earlier, John.
Exactly,
Sure.
right? Huh. Man, I can't help it, but it's got to be something like the League of Extraordinary. Extraordinary. No. The Extraordinary Bonjois. How about that?
Bonjois,
League of Extraordinary-
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
League of Extraordinary Bonjour. What's the... So Loeb is the acronym for that?
Not as strong.
Loeb? Lisa Loeb.
Loeb.
Lisa Loeb would be the song you used for your...
Yeah, that's good.
Good enough. Good enough. You get a point for that. 3.5.
Lisa Loeb's Canadian, right? Is she? Or is she American? I can't
Lisa
remember.
Loeb? I think she's American, yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember for the life of me what song she did. Something on the Lilith Fair
Yeah,
compilation.
Sarah McLaughlin's Canadian. I know that. for
Yeah,
sure.
that's true. Question number 5. Another name one. Climbing the ladder needs a new name. The new name must have the word trumpet in it.
Trumpet. Oh my goodness.
Is there an inside joke that I'm not aware of here, John? Why trumpet?
No, I just thought of the most random word I could. Trumpet seemed like a good one. Large brass horn.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe blowing the trumpet, like blowing the horn on.
Blowing the trumpet every Thursday at 4.
Exactly.
Who's the guest coming up on Blowing the Trumpet?
Exactly.
Blowing the Trumpet, that's worth a point. You're doing quite well right now, 4.5.
Yeah,
Ask, Execute, or Hydralus in chat, and they will tell you the lightning round is usually not that forgiving. Question number 6, it was asked earlier in chat as well by Hydralus. Guest you've never had on one of your shows but would love to. And let me remind you that pandering to the hosts will get you bonus points.
Just pandering to John. Will. Don't mention like that.
Well, you know, besides the 3 of these guys, there's definitely still a few people on the list that I still haven't had on yet that I still need to in the coming future. So out of those 3, probably Wheat. No, Wheat's been on my show. Wheat's been on Pro Corner. So probably Alex Garfield. I still haven't had Alex Garfield on a show.
Alex Garfield. Good
Yeah.
enough. That's worth a point. Can't dock you for that. So 5.5. Question 7. Earlier, when I was asking you, like I said before, about your hobbies and games and sports and things like that, one of your activities you said was chauffeuring your kids around to their different activities.
Yes.
So to see how good of a chauffeur you are, how well you are with directions, I want you using street names and left rights and miles.
God.
I know you use miles. Describe how you get from your house to dropping your children off at one of their activities. You can pick one of many of the activities that they do.
Oh my gosh.
There we go.
Okay. Jeez, that's actually a tough question for me because I don't pay attention to even my neighborhood streets. I can tell you the right to the left. It's a right. It's a right out of my street, left onto. God, I don't even know what the main street in my neighborhood is. It's really sad. Left off, okay, out of my neighborhood, a right onto Lions, a left onto Boynton Beach Boulevard, a right onto 441. From 441 all the way down to Lake Worth, and then a left into my son's karate shopping, dojo area. But that's not very impressive, though. I think I missed all the street names. Whatever.
The closer you were to your house, the less you knew the street names.
That's
the
funny.
sad. That's how sad it is. Is that I don't even pay attention to the street names of my neighbor. Every time I'm telling somebody to come, giving them directions to come to my house, it's always like, take the second street on the right, or the right after the clubhouse, that sort of thing. I never,
Look for the big sign.
Exactly. It's like, what's the street? I actually don't remember.
Starts with like an A or a D, I think. Very good. If I was in West
That's
Palm
not
Beach,
important anyways.
I would have been able to find where the dojo is. So that's worth a point. So you're doing really well. 6.5. Jeez, I gotta take a couple off here. Question 8. Ooh, this one's make or break right here.
All right.
You run so many shows. You always have spots for different guests, different hosts to come on. How much do we have to pay you here at Esports Canada to take Nick from our show and forever put him on one of your shows?
How much you have to pay me?
Yes, we pay you to take him.
I don't get paid for anything, so that's just not even in the picture. You don't have to pay me anything. I'll just take Nick
Previous
on.
guests have replied $5. A bag of hockey pucks was another deal.
Pretty good trade.
Okay, so what could you give me? So, what do I?
He did just have surgery though, so I don't know if that counts against him or if that means he's all healed up and upgraded.
So can you walk, Nick? Can you walk? That's like
basically a cyborg now.
You're oh man. That's okay. Thank goodness for the internet, right? I guess you could give me let's see, maybe a bag of hot tamales or something like that.
Bag of hot tamales. Sold. Frank, is that in the budget?
I'm cheap.
Frank, I think that is in the budget. So, Nick, pack your bags.
Goodbye, guys.
Off to Florida.
It's been a great time.
Enjoy the weather.
I'm going to a better place now.
Whoa.
So, no points awarded for that, but you do receive a bag of hot tamales. So you are at 6.5 points and a bag of hot tamales.
All right.
Question number 9. Going back again to earlier when I was asking you questions about your hobbies, etc. You said you weren't too much of a big fan of pro sports teams, but you do follow college sports, and I'm guessing they're your alma mater, Texas Longhorns.
Yeah, Hook'em Horns. Yep.
So I need you to recite to me as many of the lyrics as possible to the Texas Longhorns fight song.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
That sucks.
And I'd ask that you also put your hands where we could see them so we know you're not Googling.
Oh, come on, man. Oh, man. This is bad. This is a question this is something I've been meaning to, I've actually looked it up a few times, but I can never. Okay.
As long as you give me the first little bit. I mean, there's a.
The eyes of Texas are upon you, right? All upon day. The eyes of Texas are upon you. You cannot get away. Do not think you can't escape us. Something early in the morn. I think there's a word in there. Something early in the morn. The eyes of Texas are upon you. Till Gabriel blows his horn. Yeah, that's it, right?
I had something completely different, but you seem to know that fairly well. So
This sounded good.
Which ones you have?
I have like Texas Fight, and it's goodbye to A&M. Texas Fight.
Oh, that one, yeah.
And we'll pull it one more win. Texas Fight for it's Texas that we love best. Hail, hail, the gang's all here, and it's goodbye to all the rest.
Wow.
Yeah.
But whatever song you sang, you seem to know quite well, so I will award you a point for that. I can imagine now they're all at a game, 50,000 people there, everyone's doing this song, and Chris is in the back doing his one.
Okay, so the actual chant that you're doing is definitely something that's chanted during the game, but
okay.
The Eyes of Texas or whatever is what the players recite before and after the game. So
okay.
They sing it before and after the game, every single game. So
he knows the hardcore stuff.
That's right.
Super meta. Question number 10. This is something we asked before to a previous guest that you know quite well, Libin Pink. She gave us a pretty damn good answer. Mm-hmm. We also asked Firezerg the same thing because he was also on that episode. His was quite good.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you this. A movie is being made about ChanManV and his life in esports. So this one's a 3-parter. I need to know what the movie is called, who plays you in the movie, and what's the tagline for the movie.
Oh, wow. Okay. The name of the movie, Climbing the Ladder.
Not blowing the trumpet?
Not
blowing the trumpet.
Climbing the Ladder. The person that plays me, it's gotta be Asian, right? It's not
Nick Song?
Gotta be okay. We'll at least try to. Oh, Nick Song, exactly. And if he wasn't so old, I'd say Jackie Chan. But
he's doing all his own stunts.
Exactly. Doing all his own stunts.
There's no way you can play StarCraft on top of that moving train.
Oh man, totally. Let's see, who would play me? God, I'm trying to think of an Asian actor that could play me. Who looks like me? Give me some suggestions, man. Give me some suggestions. Who would?
What's the
How about the what's his face? What's his face from the Hangover? And
Oh,
John?
Ken Jong, yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Ken
man.
Jong can play me. And then what would be that tagline? It'd be oh gosh.
climbing the ladder one Ryung at a time.
One Rio
Wow,
at a time.
good one.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm gonna have to
Well, I
steal that
think
one.
we got it, guys.
That's pretty
I
good
think
right
we
there.
just did it.
Collaborative
One-
effort. The movie
Time.
starring Ken Jeong.
And John playing Chris.
Time to one Rihanna at a time. Oh, man, that'd be awesome.
When can I buy tickets to said movie?
I totally watched that.
100%.
Dude, after I have a Kickstarter that like we raise like a good $50,000 to make it,
Oh,
and
you'll be
then
more than
it's like 5 years to come out with
that. Fantastic. That is definitely worth at least 1 point. So if I go back through here, tally this all up, you actually did quite well. I thought these were going to be difficult, but you sniped them all.
Dude, they
feel
were
like I'm
they
more-
were
I feel like I'm more
Easy,
trolly
sure.
usually, but you got all of these except the Florida Hockey
You're
League.
way too nice to Chris.
I know.
You're way too nice.
that's because we work together.
And he has all the connections too. If I want all the other people from his shows to come on, he can't be like, "Man, don't go on the lightning round. We'll destroy you."
Destroy your
You
soul.
were just like definitely just have a DDoS attack right when he's starting lighting
Yeah.
on.
It's like, oh, seem to be losing you. Good night. Well, that just about does it for this section of the show. I want to thank you, Chris, for coming on. I hope that wasn't too painful. The lightning
No, it
round
was
and everything
Great
else.
time, guys, man. Definitely a great time. And again, I appreciate you guys asking me to be on, and love to be on sometime down the road too.
Fantastic.
Again, I mean.
Any last shout-outs you want to give?
Any other shout outs? I'm trying to look in the stream chat. Anybody in stream chat you want to shout out from me? You got 5 seconds.
Execute and Hydrolist definitely deserve shout-outs.
All right, Hydralist. Is that
Hydralist
Hydralist
TV.
TV? Hydralist TV and who is it?
Execute.
Execute. All right,
Kinda
big
like
shout out to those
Pokemon.
guys.
Execute runs LAN ETS in Montreal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the
nice.
1,000%
So big shout out to you. Yeah,
Hydraulis, a big Canadian gentleman doing journalistic dues. Currently in school though.
definitely. Okay.
So now you know more
Nice.
Canadian people behind the scene.
Yeah, you know the two
That's
biggest
right,
people in
that's right.
Canadian esports.
Hey, man,
Mod
man.
for our chat.
Future stars, man. That's what they are.
Awesome. So, Frank, do we have our guests from
We do, yeah.
Ottawa Esports?
If you want to run, how do you want to transition? Are you going to go to a break, or do you want me just to? We can say goodbye to
Yeah, I
Chris and-
guess we can go to a super quick break, and then I'll get them into the call as well, and then we'll be right back
Gravy.
after that.
Thank
In
you
the
so much.
meantime,
Chris.
Why don't I
Thanks,
See you
play
later, guys.
a quick
Peace.
episode of
Take care.
Pro Corner?
Oh, that's a
while we
good
take our
idea.
break.
What was that?
Agree.
I'm going to play a quick clip of Pro
Cautious
Corner
refusing-
while we take our break. And go to
Okay,
the
yeah. Awesome.
Do we have the rights to do that? Are we going to
I
get
think
sued?
so.
Can I hang
I
out?
know
You know,
it.
you're gonna have to. Dude, you're gonna have to pay me a lot of
Super
royalties.
moderators
I take 90%.
Hey, we'll give you all of our Twitch revenue.
But yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's gonna be rough.
No,
man.
I'll go for it.
It's gonna be
Anytime
rough.
you guys
I mean,
want to
it
promote
almost
it,
felt
go
like
for
cost
it.
was just
We
never
will do
in
that.
game
Keep us updated on
economically.
who's always your guests and whatnot. Just shoot
He
me a
gave
PM,
himself
and I'll
the
be sure to
best
put it on the
possible
show on
chance.
Monday nights.
You know,
Okay,
with
sounds
the
great, man.
tanks and obviously
Super,
pushing
thank you,
out, getting
Chris.
in the very fast
Later.
third phase, but
Thank you so
when
much.
it comes down to it, he just didn't do enough damage in the beginning phase. 4 drones, you can't really say, yeah, I'm content with that.
So-
You have to do more than 4 drones. And even with Nurchio's delayed queens,
Can
he
they
was
hear
able
me
to-
on air right now?
Oh yeah,
to
everyone can hear
Oh,
you.
defend off
great,
against
great. So do you want me to add Matthew in here
Yeah, I mean,
into
we-
this
we
chat,
should
or
point
should
out
we
that-
open?
Let's
actually
start
have
another
to-
one with him.
But then we have to
I think
cancel
the
the
sound
call.
effects for Ultralist. CV.
All right. So we're gonna stop this call and go into a new call, and you're ready
Yes.
to do that? Okay.
I am ready to do that.
I am exiting right now.
Now it's just me. Uh-oh, you guys can see our Skype chats. That's bad. Well, that's actually super quiet. I've never had no one else on the call with me while I do this show. That was weird. During the lightning round, I had a friend send me a very long and heartfelt message about getting married. So that was exciting during the lightning round, and it was hard to contain myself.
There we go. We did it.
Super.
Just waiting for Matthew to connect. Kind of sprung this on him a little bit as well. But, I guess I'll do a little bit of introduction while he is connecting and while everything is going down. Guys, for this is obviously running over time. We usually go 8 to 9, but we're going to quickly have Matthew from Ottawa or from Esports North come on. On June 1st, they're going to be holding a huge event in Ottawa. It's going to be, as the posters tell everyone, it's going to be a $13,000 prize pool. So should be a pretty wicked event. He has been invited. Are you in?
Hello.
Hey, Matthew.
There we go. Everything went through.
Perfect. Do you happen to have a video, or are you just doing audio today?
I tried out my camera. It turns out it's like a 0.2 megapixel camera, so I'll look like Minecraft. But
Well, I guess we don't have to do the video. We can just put this handsome picture of a gentleman on a leaf. Or John, can you see that?
What?
His Skype picture is.
Sorry, I'm trying to get everyone else. No, I can't because I don't have an added. Unless I can add you right now. I don't think I can.
So yeah, Matthew will be holding an event. I'm sure he's not the only person. I'm sure he has more people, but that's why he is on the show right now to give us a quick rundown of what's happening, and then in the future with another event when we have more time, we can spend a greater deal of time talking about the event and promoting it a little more official-like. So I guess without further ado, John usually does this, but I feel like it's just natural for me to say, Matthew, welcome to Esports Canada TV.
thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked.
Awesome. It's our pleasure to have you. And maybe you can start by just giving us a little bit of an indication who you are, how you got into working with Esports North, which is the organization in Ottawa that's going to be running the event, and why esports.
Yeah, so as mentioned, my name's Matt. I've been in Ottawa my whole life. I've just played any kind of games, any kind of like esports for forever, man. It's been started with Counter-Strike 1.6 back when Cal was still alive.
Yeah.
Counter-Strike Source, TF2. I try StarCraft, but as a lot of people can vouch, I can't beat the bots, so I don't bother too much. But I love watching it, so I watch it as often as I can. But how I got with Esports North, it all came actually. It came when I got I went to an interview with Magmic, and I was currently working on a project at that time for a league of my own for Ottawa. And then the guy at the interview is like, "So, do you know about Esports North?" And I was like, no. Was that the right question? And then so anyways, he's like, yeah, we just started up. We're associated with them. So Magmic's kind of associated with Esports North. Would you like to talk with one of them? Yeah, of course. So at the same day of the interview, I met Carla, who's one of the co-founders of Esports North. And from there on, we went to some meetings and everything like that. And now I'm helping them out. It's pretty sweet.
Awesome. So how long has Esports North been doing esports events then? I guess primarily in the Ottawa region?
Very, very recently. This is going to be our first event since launch. So yeah, we definitely plan on doing a whole lot more though. This is basically the first push to see how everything's going to go. And yeah, we want to just keep continuing.
So having said that, actually, it being your first event, you guys have a really incredible prize pool from what it sounds. You have an amazing venue, the space. How are you guys able to secure such incredible sponsorship and prize pools right out of the gate?
So it's all really with our sponsors. Magmic, from my understanding, being one of the big ones too behind it. So a lot of that's coming from them. Also, it's also coming from a little bit of the proceeds from registration itself. So the more people come and the more that we can put into it as well. So it's also boosting the pool.
I see. So well, obviously we're kind of talking about it generally, but why don't you, like now, for those who don't know, maybe give us a little bit of rundown. What is this event? Give us the name, when, where, and what is it?
Yeah, so it's Ottawa's Got Game, so it's going to be our first event. It's located at the Canadian Aviation and Space Museum here in Ottawa. So if any of you don't know, it's on Aviation Parkway, just by the Ottawa River, which is awesome. I think the coolest part about it is that it's during the Star Wars exhibit.
Oh,
So
nice.
there's not that the event itself won't be awesome and you'll just want to watch that the whole time, but there's also some cool Star Wars stuff around there too. And then yeah, so the event, it's the two big games that we're going to be hosting is Call of Duty Black Ops, and some StarCraft 2, Heart of the Swarm, obviously. Uh, and then also we've got a kid zone. There's some general zone as well. So there's some Wii games. Uh, I believe, yeah, we also have our 19 plus zone. So drinks will be served.
Cool.
And yeah, and then we're also gonna have some cool little games going on there too. So even if you don't feel like participating, um, you can come with general admission. I believe it's $10 at the door, $15, and not only can you watch, but you can also play some games. There's some prizes and some swag to give out.
Nice.
And then, yeah, I forgot to tap on it. All of the money, or sorry, rather, all of the proceeds that are going to the event are going to be going to Child's Play. So even participating, you're helping out with charity. It's awesome cause. And yeah, I don't think I mentioned this, sorry, but yeah, sorry, the prize pool itself, it's an estimated $13,000. Now that's split amongst two games, so Call of Duty and StarCraft 2. Um, for those interested, the way that it splits is that first place is, I believe, 55%, and then second place is 30%, third place is 15%.
All right.
Yeah.
That sounds really wicked. I mean, I wish we had better time to talk about this. Obviously, it's June 1st, which is right around the corner. It's next weekend. So if anybody finds themselves in the Ottawa area, or let people you know, I already contacted Drunken Boy who lives from Ottawa, and he said he's going. I contacted Katu, so hopefully he'll make an appearance there as well. I contacted Brianna, who does some bar crafts out there. I'll let everyone in the Ottawa area that I know, I'll tell them about it. Hopefully they'll mention it to their friends and make this thing big. And there's a reason why I'm doing this, and this is actually maybe my last questions. Obviously, my co-host, if they have anything else to add after this, but I recently read on a Facebook post one of my friends had. It said Ottawa was recently won the award for being the most boring city in Canada. So are you trying to change that with this event?
Absolutely. It is a bit of a boring city. So, I mean, if we can get Esports North, especially Ottawa's Got Game for that matter, going, like, just the thought of the event right now is overwhelming for me. I'm so stoked. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I can guarantee anybody who makes their way there, be it competing in the tournament or general admission, is going to have an awesome time.
That's wicked. I wish you guys the best of luck to it.
Yeah, thank you.
Were you going to say something, John? You kind of breathed in heavily, or what are you doing? Are you there, John?
Yes, okay, now I am here. I couldn't tell if I was muted, and I was just asking repeatedly, am I muted, am I muted, am I muted? And no one was saying anything. Okay, so what I want to know, Matthew, is I'm going to be in Ottawa for the first time ever on the June 30th and July 1st. I know what's going on July 1st, but June 30th, what's going on in Ottawa that I can partake in?
June 30th. Oh gosh.
It's MLG weekend, so please tell me there's a barcraft somewhere in the city that I can go to.
There should definitely be barcraft. This thing. Oh man, I wish I could answer that for you. I have tried constantly to get to a barcraft night, and I've just never had the opportunity. So I'm so out of the loop. But there's Facebook groups out there. I think it's like Ottawa
Oh, yeah.
Barcraft or something.
Yeah, I've been
Um,
following them, but I haven't seen anything lately. But
no,
I
I'll
was
have
hoping you had
to.
the inside track.
I
If you
wish
can
I had
just
the
tell
inside
them that I'm
track.
coming, and
I'll relay the message and we'll make an event for you.
perfect.
Welcome, John.
I'm feeling like I might
Yeah.
just have to show up in Ottawa and run one myself. And
Wait, what do
Hey,
you
that's
call it? What do you call it in your events? Are the Starport City? Is that what you call them?
yeah, Starport City Arena is my like tournament,
You
but
call
it's
it the
Starcraft.
Stargate City.
That's true because I'm
Not
warping
bad.
into Ottawa.
that would
Like
work.
it.
Hey, we
Marketing.
need all the events we can get, right?
Yeah,
Especially in the
really.
most boring city.
Most boring city, bro.
I saw that the other day, and you're like, yeah, I'm sorry, guys. That's
It's
all.
okay. I'm sure that you guys will turn it around with your event, and then in the future, let us know of things you're doing. Also, let us know how your event goes, and then we'd love to have you back and give you a proper, lightning round and all that stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've gone over, so we also need to somehow stop esports before it ruins our lives as well.
Yeah, for sure. And just on a side note there, I forgot to mention, we'll also be having front page on Twitch on that day.
Oh, nice.
So not only can you come to the event, if you're not able to make it into town, just hop on Twitch and you'll see us there.
Yeah, you'll see me in chat then. And actually, that actually reminds me of the last question I had for you is, are you still looking for anybody to cover? Maybe somebody in chat will be able to cover something because earlier you were looking for some positions. So is there anything still open?
There's definitely tons and tons of positions. So there's anything from door people, security, even kid zone to casters, be it StarCraft or COD, referees as well. And also, if you're brave enough, we need an event host as well too. We do have a couple people who are interested, but I mean, the more the merrier.
Call someone like Katu. He's got a nice voice. How can they get in contact with you? Especially because they're not going to be able to see chat on the VODs later. So speak to it.
Yeah, so you can definitely contact me. My email address will be mmarineau. My last name's kind of confusing, so I spelled it
Whoa,
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think you spelling it was more confusing because I didn't get a lick of that.
I think the
Yeah.
Esports North Twitter is easy.
Yeah, so at Esports North, all one
Perfect.
word.
That's much
That'll work
I
as
know.
well.
Easier.
Or you can just check us out at esportsnorth.com. And then there's a contact us on there too. You just drop a message, tell them you're interested in being volunteer to the event, and we'll get back to you right away.
Awesome. So I hope you get lots of feedback and lots of experience on this run because we'll be looking to you guys to boosting up Ottawa's esports scene.
Yeah, definitely. We're hoping for the best, and we've got an awesome team, so things should be pretty sweet.
Good. Johnny,
Yes.
do a rundown of next week. What is happening?
Yes, next week our guest is going to be Pat Death from Above McLean from the underrated.
Hand from above.
Hand from Above. That also makes sense. I wasn't reading the ticker. Hand from Above. Much better than Death from Above, unless it's the band, because that's
Wow.
a sweet band.
That's his doppelganger.
So he's going to be our guest next week, talking about all about underrated gaming and the underrated team league, which I actually got to cast on the weekend. If you want to see me try my hand at casting for the second time ever in my life, head over to twitch.tv/YouAreGaming, and you can watch the two most recent VODs. It's myself and Editor Sword trying our best to cast. And we also did Overclock.net over the weekend. I was doing production for that. And Frank, you were casting that on Sunday, doing a fantastic job. Got to cast with Nathanius, and then Rotterdam took over from you after that. And I had the pleasure of working with Rotterdam on Friday and Saturday as well for Flaming Cow TV, which was super fun. Big tournament out of California with some top players. Hyun ended up taking that, beating Shuttle in the finals 3-1. So I'm sure they'll have another one of those coming up in the next couple of months. And I just had my first Fiber Op Cup meeting last night, and so that plan is in the works. And we have some new games coming up for that, so it's not just going to be StarCraft and League of Legends for the next one. And if Tony Tran wants to put in the winner of the Dota tournament on the weekend, it was.
I just know the second place team had players from My Intent and Killing Spree who traveled all the way from Quebec and Ottawa region to come participate,
good.
and they got second place. So this team
Mike
that won. Sorry?
Mike Chandota was one of the teams of My Intent players.
Okay. So do you know who the winner and everything is, Nick? I wanted to give a shout out and I just forgot to.
Team QQ.
Oh yeah, Team QQ.
Yes, Team
Congratulations
QQ.
to them.
Congratulations to them. But the bigger news was I put that bounty out on Realis 2 weeks ago for High Tide Throwdown because I hate Realis and his stupid face. And he ended up losing in the loser bracket finals to LCC, who's another player from St. John who I actually know pretty well, who always comes out to the StarCraft tournaments, who's actually quite good. He's the one that's always playing Brood War in the corner, and then we have to pressure him to start playing SC2. So he's a great player, and he kicked the shit out of Realis in the loser bracket, and it was fantastic. I literally stopped doing Flaming Cow and then turned on Ralston Arcade, and it was like, and now our next match for the loser bracket is LCC versus Reales, and I was losing my mind. I was in chat, and everyone was going crazy, and they had a huge crowd there. They had over 100 participants all weekend long for the huge cornucopia of games that they were doing. So, congrats to everyone that was at High Tide Throwdown. I know the guy who won Marvel walked away with something stupid like $600 or something.
Oh,
Huge
nice.
prize pool. So
Did they play your video
good
at
job.
the event, John?
No, they had this other bounty that was created. They might have played the video. I wasn't watching the stream all weekend, but they had another little bounty poster that they had printed off that was posted around the event, saying that he was
Nice.
wanted from Esports Canada TV for crimes against StarCraft. So, uh, good,
Very
good on you, LCC, for picking up that win. And so next week, Pat McLean is going to be on the show. Other events happening: the Inhibitor 5v5 League of Legends tournament is happening at the Yorkdale Shopping Center on June 1st. I believe action gets underway at 11 a.m. Eastern. So teams have already qualified for that, but we do want a ton of spectators there to let the Microsoft Store know that we're doing big things in the Toronto area as well. Edmonton Barcraft's coming up for WCS America, noon on June 2nd at the Old Strathcona Rack, and Calgary Barcraft is happening at the end of the month, June 30th. And I'm not sure which bar, Cecilia's or Sicily's, I can't remember the name of it. There's a poster coming up for that soon, but that's all the way at the end of the month. And as well, Halifax Barcraft has announced their event. They're doing two separate ones, one for League of Legends and one for StarCraft. So either game, you can go to one of those events in Halifax coming up on June 30th. That's all for me. Quinn and the Net. Thank you to our guest tonight, Chris ChanManV. You can follow him at ChanManV on Twitter, and check out his Twitch, twitch.tv/ChanManV. All of his shows, there's 4 shows pretty much every night of the week. And thanks to my co-hosts at ESC Jovian and at ESC Songers. And thank you to Matthew from Esports North coming in to talk to us about the event coming up in Ottawa, also on June 1st. Thank you, everyone, and we will catch you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey.
Peace.